going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of That Adventure Podcast. I'm your host, 909. Yes, I kind of adopted that name. My real name is Jeff, but my community simply calls me 909. And I'm sitting here with my co-host, Mrs. 909. Mrs. 909, would you like to say hello to our audience?
Hi, everyone.
Yep, and that's Mrs. 909. Most of you already know her. But just want to let you guys know this is going to be a very basic, stripped down episode. It's probably going to be a short one too. It's just going to be the origins of 909 Adventures. For those of you that are just listening to the podcast, this podcast is going to be kind of a complement to my YouTube channel, 909 Adventures. And we're going to be discussing, a lot of things from the places that I've visited to places that we're going to go. We're going to discuss famous graves. You name it. There is nothing off of the table. We're going to discuss as much as we possibly can. We're going to make this a fun podcast for you guys to listen to. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. I hope it transcends, in my mind, as, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah, I hope this comes out as good as I'm hoping it will.
Or better.
Even better. But again, guys, it'll turn into something more than what this is. This episode is not going to have all the bells and whistles as I'm going to be putting into the next episode and the following episodes. Again, this episode is just the origins, how we got started in social media, and a couple of little things like that. But a couple of things I'm hoping for this podcast, and I want to start doing some interviews, maybe not so much a deep dive sort of interview, but just have some of my YouTube buddies on here, see if they want to just come on the show and just sit down and talk YouTube, talk social media, podcast, talk life, talk whatever. Again, guys, I'm going to try my best and do my best to make this as much of a high quality podcast as I possibly can for you guys. I have some ideas for segments. Mrs. 909 is going to be in charge of, let's just give you a job, Mrs. 909. Would you like to do like birthday shout outs?
Sure.
Oh, you sound really enthusiastic there. Can we hear that one more time, Mrs. 909?
Of course I want to.
Okay, so, I don't think I have we don't have, as of this moment, we don't have a dedicated email address for the podcast. So if you guys want to send in your birthday shout outs, it could be for yourself or a loved one or a friend. Send birthday shout outs to 909adventures@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to either one of us on social media. I have 909 Adventures on Instagram. Mrs. 909 has, Mrs. 909 on Instagram.
Underscore.
Mrs. 909 underscore. Remember, talking to the mic. We're still learning here, guys. Or not learning, but trying to remember how to do this podcast thing. We'll get to that shortly. But for Mrs. 909, her social media is Mrs. 909 MRS 909 underscore. And we also, I shouldn't say it's Mrs. 909 runs the 909 Adventures TikTok account. So you guys can go follow that as well. It's
just 909 Adventures.
909 Adventures on
TikTok.
So you guys can go follow her there and message either one of us or send us an email with your, of course, give us a name and a birth date. And if you would like to send in your age with that too, we don't have to shout out your age to give you a birthday shout out.
Or we can do anniversaries.
or anniversary, whatever. You know, get us out here. Be a part of the podcast. We want to hear from you guys as well.
We'll probably do our comment.
Oh, yeah, Mrs. 909. That's another section you could do. You could read comments. Comments with Mrs. 909. There you go. So, yeah, if you guys want to leave comments too, that'll be great.
They can be funny, or if you found more information than we said on the topic of the person, or something we missed, you can let us know. If we said something wrong, of course, that's always number one for everybody.
Just don't correct me.
Yeah, okay,
I don't like to be corrected. Okay, so let's move on, guys. This is the origins of 909 Adventures. So, Mrs. 909, do you remember way back to like 2016? The very first thing, actually, no, before that, I forgot. The very first thing, I was going to go to YouTube, but the very first thing that we did was a podcast.
Yep.
And I believe I got like 10, maybe 12 episodes. It's so bad, you guys. Actually, it's not that bad. The mics we had at the time were bad. So...
Well, podcasting wasn't a big thing then either.
Yeah, but YouTube was not big at all during podcasts. I think podcasts were bigger than YouTube was then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There was a lot more podcasts then than there is YouTube. And then there was YouTube, but now there's a lot more YouTube channels than there are podcasts.
But that's also because the world shut down. So
yeah, we won't talk about that, you know. But anyways, getting past this this person, I finally said, screw it, I'm gonna do it, you know. And I created a podcast. It was a
Disney.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to say that nowadays, but you know, I started a Disney podcast. Actually, even before that, this wasn't on social media, but you know, growing up,
you were a DJ.
I wouldn't say a DJ, but
radio host.
I taught myself how to make radio shows on a computer. I had the programs to do it, and this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, before podcasts even exists. I still have some of the episodes on a CD, so I gotta say, you know, these
maybe we'll put some in so you guys can
shows,
hear them.
I would love to, but it's all going to get copywritten. I don't want to get in trouble.
Why would it get copywritten?
Because it's all mainstream music. You can't do that on...
Of you talking?
Well, it's not just me rambling on, you know. I'm playing music. I'm talking a little, you know, and I was embarrassed to do that, believe it or not. So I used a voice changer. It's obviously a fake voice. I mean, it's my voice, but I changed it to like a deeper sort of voice, you know, and I don't know, early 2000s. I'm a teenager, so of course, you know, I'm not going to sound the way I really sound in the podcast, but anyways, I taught myself how to do that even before podcasts were a thing, even before I think the word was coined, podcast, before that word even came into existence. So moving on, 2013, 2014, I created a podcast called the Presenting Disney Podcast. Now, as far as I know, you know, I haven't signed into that account in many, many years, but I believe you could still find it somewhere out there in the world of podcasting. I know it was on iTunes at one point. It may still be up there. But again, guys, Presenting Disney, that's kind of, you know, where I started in social media. And so later on down the line, you know, we created a Facebook group. That's not really a thing, I don't believe. By the way, I do have a very small Facebook group with like 35 members if you guys want to go check that out. Also 909 Adventures. I'm looking to grow that. So if you guys can do that, check that out as well. We move on to, what is it, 2016? Maybe Mrs. 909, maybe 2017. And I create the Post-Atomic Disney YouTube channel. And I think I get about 25, maybe 30 episodes up on there. Because we were going to Disneyland a lot, weren't we, Mrs. 909?
Yeah.
A lot. So
when it was cheaper.
Yeah, there wasn't hardly anybody YouTubing Disneyland. There was 2 or 3 people that I could think of right off the top of my head. 1 person for sure. No, 2 people for sure. But imagine if we would have stuck with that, Mrs. 909. Where we'd be today. If we were doing that, pumping out content.
It's hard to say because there's so many people who do it now. So
right, but you know,
it doesn't matter. It's still.
I'm just saying, if we just would have stuck with that. I mean, we couldn't have, but imagine if we were able to, you know, stick with it where we could possibly
But a
be
lot
today.
of the more famous, or I shouldn't
YouTube
say
famous,
well-known YouTubers for Disney, none of them really have kids besides one
couple.
One couple.
Yeah.
Nobody else has kids.
They're cool, by the way. We've met them a couple times without naming names.
That's hard to do when you have kids. It's expensive. They're not quiet, so it's not something that would have worked for us.
Right. So, yeah, so we did that. And, you know, at the time, we got priced out of the park. Would you say you think that's fair to say?
Yeah. Well,
we got priced out of the park. Or I forget exactly what had happened. We couldn't get back into the park. We couldn't, you know, for some reason financially swing the annual passes anymore. This is 2017. Man, we were. I was pretty bummed out. I was like, oh man, you know, I'm just getting into the groove of things, getting into the swing of it. Thinking, you know, I'm getting this YouTube thing down. I'm figuring out how to edit. I knew how to edit audio. It's kind of a little harder to edit video, because not only do you have to worry about the audio, you got to worry about the video. And it's like, okay, the video looks good, but does the audio sound good? I was learning all that. Again, I got 25, maybe 30 episodes out of this Presenting Disney YouTube channel. And then we had to stop. We couldn't financially, you know, get back to the park. So again, guys, I was bummed. I was like, man, I really want to do this. You know, it seems like so much fun. And wasn't just like, it wasn't just to, you know, record the parks and get them out there. It was kind of also something for my kids to look back on. And I think that's another reason why I thought, let me start a YouTube channel, because I see all these families that got, you know, videos years later of their kids. And I want my kids to have something to look back on. So I think that is another reason why I opted to go the YouTube route, other than another podcast, which is kind of ironic because that's what we're doing today. But so I'm trying to brainstorm, what can I do? You know, because there was, it's like, I really want to do YouTube. It's, you know, kind of a creative outlet. It's something to do. I would love to just grow an audience somewhere, somehow, and have a way to interact with other people. So I thought, okay, who are my biggest influences as far as YouTube goes? That was simple. That was Adam the Woo. Adam the Woo. So I was thinking, okay, you know what? Let's figure out what I could do. So at this point in time in my life, I worked at a particular job where I basically didn't have any days off. I worked Monday through Friday. We'll just say I was driving, and then they asked me to start working Saturday evenings. It was only supposed to be temporary. I think I did that for 3 years? Something like that. Maybe 4 years.
So.
It's only supposed to be temporary. Yeah. It was only supposed to be temporary. I did this for 3 or 4 years, working every Saturday night from 7 in the evening until 7 the next morning on Sunday. So I basically didn't have a day off. When I started working these nights, I had sat down on YouTube. And I had to figure out what genre did I want to do. What can I do that's doesn't take money, that doesn't cost anything? What can I do with the cell phone that I have, which was the camera that I had. By the way, the first 3.5 years, I would say the first 3 years of 909 Adventures was it was all recorded on a cell phone, a Galaxy Note 9. I loved that phone. I still have it. I still use it to this day as like a secondary camera for B-roll or whatever. But I sat down to figure out what can I do, what is cheap, what is not going to cost me a lot, what is not going to take me too far out of the area, considering the time that I have. And well, it was Urbex, urban exploring, abandon things. All I had to do was have a little bit of gas money to get out to where I needed to go. So I immediately started searching things that were close by in my area. And lo and behold, the first thing I find about 15-20 minutes away, Pomona, California, was a stone castle powerhouse. Now this thing was it was an old hydroelectric powerhouse that would power the city of Pomona.
In the middle of
a neighborhood. Right. In the middle of a neighborhood, which is crazy. But there's nothing really there that's left, right? Mrs. 909, am I wrong?
No, just the walls.
Just the outside walls, the exterior walls. I don't think
it was all 4 walls.
You might be correct on that. It's been a very long time. It's been, 5 years.
But it was very pretty. It was like something from Secret Garden, the movie Secret Garden.
Yeah. So this was our first experience going under a fence, feeling like we were, doing something wrong. But
the neighbors did give us permission.
Yeah, we did get permission from a neighbor. So the neighbor was like, yeah, go ahead and go on in. We pull up in front of this guy's house. So he comes out and stands at the...
watches us, which we're both still like, kind of very, very awkward sitting there talking to a camera.
Exactly. And, this is my first experience doing that. I know it's definitely Mrs. 909's first experience doing that. So it's like, oh man, this is not going to go as planned. We're not going to get in. And it's going to discourage us from making these sort of videos, or even discourage us from YouTube, period. But it didn't. The meeting with this guy, not, meeting, but the conversation with this guy went very well. I approached him. I told him what I was doing, what my intentions were, and that I had no ill will. And he was cool. He said, yeah, go ahead, go on in. And you're fine. Don't worry about nothing. So that's how we got started. That's how we got started in YouTube. Now, since then, as of right now, as of recording this episode, I'm at 3,949 subscribers, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but it still blows my mind that I even have that amount.
It's a lot to us.
It is a lot to us. I mean, even if I had 2,000 subscribers, I would still be in awe. Definitely not something I ever expected. And, again, I'm right on the cusp of 4,000. I'm watching my subscriber count go up every day. And this is never something I never thought I was going to be able to do.
And this is not something that pays our bills. This is just...
Oh, no, not at all.
For fun and family time and get out of the house and meet new people.
Exactly.
Make friendships that turn into more than friendships and like family.
Exactly. But it's funny because we had every now and then people are like, "Oh, you're making some money on there." It's like, no, I'm not making any money on this thing. I wish, that's the goal someday.
But not today.
Exactly, not today. It would be nice.
And we'll get more YouTubers on here who will say the exact same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, seen a lot of YouTube videos for the beginning of the year. Even bigger YouTubers. There's one guy that I watch. I watch this one guy. He's called the 8-Bit Guy. He's got like 3 million subscribers. And he said that he's taken a huge cut in what he's making, that he's even thinking about going and getting a job. He used to be able to live off this for the past 2 or 3 years, and his video for the beginning of the year said he's not doing well at all. I guess he's giving it in
Which isn't the only YouTuber that we've talked to that's gone through or is talking about the same thing.
Again, guys, it is a goal.
This is a hobby. Nice. And our kids like it.
Yeah, we don't show them very much in the channel anymore because you have to be. A few years ago, I mean, I guess this is the way it was always supposed to be, but you're not supposed to show children on here if they're under the age of 13. I know there's a lot of channels out there that do.
And we can show them, we just won't get the views.
Right, because
there's nothing wrong with us showing them.
Yeah, I've had them in a couple of videos recently too, past 3 or 4 months, and the videos tanked. And it's also made my other videos, I believe, take a hit as well, because I had a video, I started doing famous graves, and I started to get some traction. But as soon as I released these videos that had my 2 youngest girls in it, the video tanked, and the videos after that have sort of tanked as well. And I'm having a hard time pulling the channel back out of that. So views are down, everything's down. It might just be this time of year. Might just be the time of year that's doing it. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. Again, YouTube's algorithm is always changing. And you can't predict it. It's just like the weather. You'll get an announcement about, the algorithm changing on YouTube, and then you're kind of left in the dark after that. You don't know if your channel is going to take a hit or not. Usually it does. Change on YouTube isn't always good. But
not lately anyway.
Yep. And, speaking of like generating income, the only other bad thing about doing podcasts, you can't monetize the podcast.
You don't really make any money.
You don't make money on podcasts unless you get sponsors, which I don't want to do. So as of right now, this podcast is
just for fun.
To interact with you guys more.
And to answer questions people ask a lot.
Yeah, answer questions, exactly.
And help get ideas from you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just another, as of right now, another creative outlet. It's simple. We don't have to necessarily jump in front of a camera or pull a camera out. We can just sit here from the comfort of our living room.
And when it's hot and over 100 degrees, we can sit in our house and record.
Right.
Or when it's raining or snowing and we're stuck in the house.
Hey, although weather videos do pretty good.
Yeah, still.
But
gets boring after the 3rd day of can't go outside.
It does. All right, so this year in 2024, I want to I want this channel to grow. I would love for it. And I don't think it's unreasonable to think or hope that we could be at 10K by the end of the year, by 2025. I mean, we've had a really good growth, spurt through 2023. I believe I more than doubled what my subscriber count was from the previous year, maybe even tripling the amount of subscribers I have. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think and hope and believe that I can triple it again. So if you guys can help me out there, subscribe to our YouTube channel, 909 Adventures. And if you guys have any video requests, any episode requests here on the podcast, we want to hear from you. Get a hold of us through a message on Instagram or Mrs. 909 on TikTok. Or you guys can email us 909adventures@gmail.com. Submit those birthday requests so we can give you guys the shout out.
They're not birthday requests. They're just send us in your birthdays or anniversaries or graduations or baby announcements, whatever you guys.
A baby announcement. That's pretty
like
cool.
Somebody gets a new grandbaby.
Yeah, true. You know, we want to be a podcast for everybody. We're obviously, it's not going to be a clean podcast such as the channel. You know, we try to keep that not a family-oriented channel, but if children want to watch it, that it's okay for them to do so. We do our best to leave the cussing out of most of those videos. I would like to do a disclaimer if we ever do include any sort of profanity on the channel. But for the most part, that's going to be clean. But the podcast here, you know, my Mrs. 909 has a mouth of a sailor.
I sure do.
Yep.
Only certain people know that, though.
And but yeah, other than that, guys, we have a second channel as of right now. I'm still kind of debating
Up in the air.
I'm kind of debating what to do with that. I might be sunsetting that one,
retiring
it, or it might even be a seasonal thing because Mrs. 909 and myself, we love Halloween. We love the Halloween events that are here in SoCal. And I have before put up some Halloween events here on the 909 Adventures channel, or the YouTube channel, I should say. They don't do very well. However, I did the second channel, which is SoCal Entertainment. I have a couple of videos up there, not nearly as much as I do on 909, but a lot of it is Halloween stuff, theme park stuff. We went back to, we got back into Disneyland Park, and we were making more videos there. Got some ride-throughs if you guys want to check that out, SoCal Entertainment. But again, I don't know what I'm going to be doing with that one. It'll probably be a seasonal channel. I still do have a lot of footage from Disneyland and other theme parks in and around the SoCal, Southern California area. So you guys might see a video pop up here and there from a theme park or some sort of entertainment from around Southern California. But you know what, guys? I've been rambling on. This was only supposed to be, I told Mrs. 909, 10, maybe 15 minutes.
Don't blame it on me.
Oh, no, I'm not blaming it on you at all. I told Mrs. 909, hey, do we have 10 or 15 minutes real quick to sit down and make an episode? I'll be honest, I don't normally talk this much, right, Mrs. 909? I don't. So I kind of feel like this is what I want to do. You know, I don't know. It's
in his blood.
It feels like things might be falling into place here. I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on it. Kind of feels good to talk, you know. maybe it's
therapeutic.
Therapeutic, yeah. Very good, Mr. 909. Very good. But we're hoping to do these videos, or not videos. See how used to making YouTube videos I am? We're hoping to do this podcast at least once a week. So you guys will have, 1 or 2 videos on the YouTube channel a week. That's my goal.
Some TikTok
I would
shorts.
love to do 2 videos a week. Plus an episode of the podcast.
And TikToks.
That's not even to mention some of the shorts that are going to be coming out on YouTube. Most of the time when I make shorts for YouTube, I send them over to 909. I am 909. When I send them over to Mrs. 909, and she'll post it on the 909 Adventures TikTok account.
But I do post my own stuff on there too.
Yeah, so when you guys will go on there, you'll see makeup stuff and other things that aren't normally, or you would never see on the channel, but
that's also to start growing the channel too, just trying to get that audience.
Yep, that's true. And I don't mind that. She runs that. So
when there is a lot of Halloween. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so by the way, speaking of SoCal Entertainment, I know I said I might be sunsetting it. I'm sorry guys, I don't mean to keep pulling you back. But
yeah, he does.
We do have our season passes for 2024 to Knott's Berry Farm. So you guys might start seeing a little bit of content from there. So we'll see what happens with that. So if you guys want to, you guys are into entertainment, go check out the other channel. And then that's it, guys. That's our goals. We want to grow the channel. I always hope, and I look every day to see if I have some some odd number of growth overnight.
No, he doesn't look every day. He looks like every 5 minutes. Yeah. Don't let him fool you.
I do look quite often, guys. I mean, I'll be honest. It's exciting and aggravating at the same time. It's like watching grass grow. It really is. I mean, there is days where, I get this crazy amount of growth. I think in the month of November, I had several hundred new subscribers, and that was awesome. It's yes, if we could just keep this going. I had one little video kind of blow up. But yeah, that's about it, guys. All right. Welcome to anybody that's new. I look forward to talking to you, hearing from you. Leave comments wherever you can. 5-star ratings wherever you can. Thumbs up, likes. Do whatever you can to help us grow, and we would appreciate it. And get us in those birthday shout outs. Whatever shout out you guys want, get it over to us. You got anything else to say, Mr. 909?
Nope.
All right, guys, this is that adventure podcast. Let me see. I got to figure this out. This is that adventure podcast where we discuss Urbex, which is urban exploring, famous graves, movie locations, and everything else in between. I was your host, or I am your host, I should say, 909, along with Mrs. 909. Thanks, guys. Can't wait for episode 2. I might start recording it now.